Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Good morning to you. Our very own Chet Lehman is live at the scene of a big fire at a major construction site at 7th and Babcock in downtown Bozeman. Coming up, we'll be chatting with Chet to learn the latest and about those street closures. That right there from CBS News will be our latest with the government shutdown and President Trump's agreement with Congress. But our top story for right now, coming out of downtown Bozeman, streets are closed and firefighters remain on the scene of a big fire that started at around midnight. Our own Chet Lehman is live downtown. He is with our latest with some street closures. And what else we need to know this morning, Chet?
Well, Missy, what had been flames earlier this morning is now thick smoke rolling around this part of downtown Bozeman. The smoke column visible even early this morning from as far away as Four Corners. The top of that light you see right there, that blue light, is the ladder truck for Bozeman Fire. Those lights right there, that's a firefighter that's standing up there running a couple of hoses trying to dump water on what's left of this four-story apartment building that had been under construction here between 7th and 8th Street right off of Babcock. Fire reported just after midnight. Crews will be out here most of the morning and into the afternoon continuing to fight this defensively. That means there's no firefighters inside the building, nobody in danger there. They're doing it all externally with trucks all the way around this. Crews also trying to restore power to some 270 homes south of this area as they had to turn the power off so they could continue to fight this fire. You can hear the water splashing on what's left of the building in there. Again, crews out here since after midnight working on this four-story building that is slowly being reduced to a smoldering ash here at Babcock and between 7th and 8th. I am Chet Lehman reporting live all morning long from the scene of this fire, Missy. Meantime, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Thank you for that, Chet. Boy, I tell you, the plumes of smoke, I mean, we're about a block wide. It's just unbelievable. And people are sending photos in to our Facebook account. You can find the latest on KBZK's Facebook page as well. Matt joins us now. You mentioned with the fresh snowfall, people are already going slow this morning.
Go slow, avoid downtown Bozeman, obviously, and be aware that there are some very slick conditions. Scattered slush and snow on the area roadways from Homestake Pass to Bozeman Pass, down the Gallatin Canyon right now. Reynolds and Targhee passes are closed, as well as I-90 at St. Regis for an avalanche there that was covering I-90. So keep that in mind if you're traveling that direction. Temperatures into the teens and 20s. It looks like the light snow continues for the morning, but the heavy snow is done for now. We are expecting more heavy snow or a moderate snow trying to move into the area as you head into the afternoon. We will, of course, break down your complete forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Our top national story. Congress will vote on a bill today to fund the government before another potential shutdown goes into effect tomorrow night. As CBS's Mark Liverman reports, President Trump hasn't fully committed to signing it.
I present a privileged report.
Late last night, the House introduced an 1,100-page funding bill to avoid another partial government shutdown.
It won't be a perfect deal, but it'll be a good deal.
Congressional leaders are confident it will pass today.
It's a win for the American people. It's a compromise.
The bill includes nearly $1.4 billion for fencing along the Mexican border. That's more than some Democrats had wanted, but far less than the $5.7 billion President Trump had demanded.
I don't want to see a shutdown. Shutdown would be a terrible thing.
The president is likely to sign the bill before a Friday night deadline, though yesterday at the White House he refused to commit 100%.
We'll be looking for landmines, because you could have that.
At an event with law enforcement later in the day, Mr. Trump insisted he's going to build a wall regardless of congressional support.
And it's a big wall. It's a strong wall. It's a wall that people aren't going through very easy. They would be able to climb Mount Everest a lot easier, I think.
The president could try to use executive action to find the rest of the wall funding.
I think the national emergency declaration is definitely on the table.
Though some Republicans and most Democrats oppose that option. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Now, also on the bill, more than $1 billion in other border security programs. This includes funds to hire 1,200 Border Patrol agents, humanitarian aid for detained migrants, and new equipment at ports of entry. And the draft of Downtown Bozeman Improvement Plan was released yesterday by city officials. Leaders from the community as well as outside consultants came together to put together a vision and framework for the downtown's next decade. Bozeman has grown since the last improvement plan was put together in 2009. This long-term plan focuses on downtown's significance with the growing community.
You might see that Bozeman Creek becomes more integrated into our downtown streetscape. Right now it's under parking lots, and that's something that's a lot of people have identified as a way to sort of bring more charm and character to the downtown. Other things that were identified by the consultants, there's a need for some smaller office spaces, and so they've gone into fine detail about some code changes that could make that a little easier.
Now, the city will fully adopt that new plan come April. And meth is causing a spike in violent crimes in our state because police say drug dealers are bringing meth and heroin into our state by the carloads. Here's Andrea Lutz with part 2 of our drug superhighway investigation.
Methamphetamine. It's being distributed in large quantities to Montana, and it's driven here. Mexican cartels use our interstate system as a drug superhighway.
An increased level of violence.
Lieutenant Brandon Woolley with the Billings Police Department sees it all too well.
It's coming straight out of Mexico. So you're getting high purities, 98, 99% pure methamphetamine.
Violent crimes statewide have increased 34%. In Billings, meth-driven crimes have increased by 75%. For over 2 years, Woolley led the Eastern Montana High-Intensity Drug Task Force. His goal? To dismantle drug organizations.
We've done search warrants in literally every neighborhood in this community. In neighborhoods that, you would go and you'd see, a couple $1 million homes.
The drug scene in Montana has significantly changed. Years ago, meth was manufactured in homes, but state law cracked down on homegrown labs. Now, a call is made to Mexico and the distribution line begins.
It's supply and demand. And on the demand side, you have the addicts, you have the drive, you have the desire or the need for the drug. And then on the supply side, you have the manufacturing. And then you have the distribution hubs, you have the traffickers to get it to place.
In Billings, drug seizures exceed any other in our state.
Billings has always had a pretty healthy appetite for meth.
But the Eastern Montana Drug Task Force is making progress in taking down drug operations.
Just this year alone, to date, there are over 120 pounds of methamphetamine and over $600,000 in bulk cash seizures.
Still, violent crimes continue to plague the city, meaning there's more work to be done.
We're seeing an increase despite all of our efforts.
That's because traffickers have gotten incredibly creative in finding ways to avert law enforcement. What looks like an ordinary car sitting in this Billings tow truck yard is one example.
So during our searches, our guys are looking for anomalies, things that are unusual. But the first thing that kind of popped out in this circumstance was a trunk release switch.
Traffickers using a combination of multiple switches only activated in sequence to trigger a drug compartment to open.
In this particular vehicle, there was another aftermarket hidden switch underneath of the dash. And then when our guys did it, I think there was some type of use of either like a blinker or the heater gauge going all the way over. If this vehicle was pulled over and there's a roadside search, if an officer's going through quickly, not taking his time, he probably would likely miss this.
Drugs were hidden in the cavity of this car, under the seats extending from the dash all the way to the trunk.
Enough to get several pounds of drugs.
And this particular vehicle was used to cross the border into Mexico and come back up to Montana, likely several times. Traffickers using Montana's interstate to make illegal profits off our community.
Here we are on that corridor, 1, 2, we do have kind of a large rate of, some lower income that ends up turning to the drug use, whether it be for mental health care because they're self-medicating or just the drug itself.
Montana's first lines of defense in the meth epidemic are police force. They know they have their work cut out for them.
You look at all of our violent crimes, most of our homicides are methamphetamine related. Majority of our officer-involved shootings, methamphetamine related. And if you were able to, in a magic world, carve that out, I think you would have a lot less problems.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Now tonight, on the final part of our Drug Superhighway series, we hear from a Billings woman who spent many years of her life addicted to meth. In other news, here on your Valentine's Day Thursday morning, Montana State University is taking part in research that would turn algae into biofuel. The Department of Energy has given out a $3 million grant, which will fund the project between Montana State and the University of Toledo, as well as the University of North Carolina. So far, researchers have discovered a new algae that they think could be used only with the ambient carbon dioxide in the air. Now, researchers at Montana State are hoping to find a cost-effective energy alternative for the future.
They are trying to build an algae-based economy. And not that algae can replace everything we do right now with oil that we pump out of the ground, but ultimately we can not only produce fuels, but we can also produce bioproducts like plastics, pharmaceuticals, biodegradable plastics, and so on and so forth.
That is so cool. The project is supposed to take about 3 years. It is time for a quick break. Here's a look ahead at Montana This Morning, as well as CBS This Morning.
Researchers are developing wearable robots like this to help patients overcome physical injuries. I'm Chris Martinez with how these devices could help you recover faster.
Good morning. Ahead here on CBS This Morning, Paul Manafort could spend the rest of his life in prison for lying to special counsel Robert Mueller. What this means for the president's former campaign chairman. Plus, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, this is a blockbuster interview, tells 60 Minutes why he decided to investigate the president and his alleged ties to Russia. And on this Valentine's Day, a biological anthropologist reveals the science behind a successful relationship. Some tips we can use. See you at 7.